Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Page of Swords podcast. This is episode 33 with Heather Dees, who is a IFBB Pro in the figure division. So welcome.
Thank you so much. I love being on these things.
Oh, dude, I tell you what, with lockdown and COVID, doing a podcast, it's so much fun. I just love it. Just getting to meet people and talk.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So I wanted to start off with, asking about your show history because, I'm on the NPC News website and you have a history that goes back to 2011. Is that when you started or does it go back further?
Well, 2011 was my pro debut. So I've obviously turned pro in 2010. And before that was just a couple national shows before that. So I started competing in 2008, turned pro in 2010. And then, as a pro, I've done, I don't even know. I want to say somewhere around 37 to 40 pro shows, I think. I lost count.
I was going to say, I understand completely. The website only goes to 2011, but like you said, turning pro must have been before that. What show was it that you turned pro at?
It was the NPC Nationals in Atlanta back then. And it's so funny because when I first started in 2008, I did a pro show in Atlanta. Or I'm not a pro show, sorry. NPC Nationals in Atlanta 2008. Then I did USA's. And they used to cycle NPC Nationals between Dallas, Atlanta, and Miami. And I think they just keep it in Miami now.
Yeah, right. Yeah, with the whole lockdown and everything, I think they've moved it around. And then I think it might be actually in Orlando this year.
Right.
Yeah. So it's
who knows anymore. I just thought it was interesting because I think after I turned pro in Atlanta, I don't know if they had any more shows in Atlanta. As far as nationals goes, maybe other shows, but I don't know if that nationals hit there anymore.
Yeah. Part of me thinks that the Vegas show was ended up moving in Atlanta, a junior USA, or just like the USA's maybe.
Oh,
maybe
like last year or this year?
Yeah, I think it might be a repeat. It might be bringing it back to Atlanta, I think.
Well, it was fun. I liked going there.
Yeah, I was going to say for that, doing the Miami show and everything, like you actually had the beach there, which you probably got some nice pictures with JM and everything.
Well, I never did. I've yet to compete in Florida.
Okay. So yeah, Atlanta.
Every time I would go to do it, it would be in, I went in 2008 and 2010 and they were both in Atlanta. So I missed the Florida boat. And so, I feel like they're kind of gravitating more that way anyway now, but just because it's a more open state. But one of these days, maybe I'll compete out there. I haven't yet. That's so weird.
I was going to say, if you haven't been to Florida yet, then that might be a good thing because if you're going to go to the Olympia, you'll definitely be going to Florida.
We'll go with that one. That will be my first one in Florida, and I would be happy about that.
Yeah, we'll put it out in the universe. We are going to make a Florida trip this year sometime.
Perfect.
So your first pro show was the IFBB Pittsburgh Pro. So what was the experience at your first pro show?
Oh, it was kind of amazing. I loved going in because I had turned pro in Atlanta in November, and then I didn't compete again, and I took the 6-7 months to kind of make some improvements before doing my pro debut. And I stepped on stage in Pittsburgh and I took second place at my pro debut. So back then too, it was top 3 that qualified for the Olympia. So to qualify for the Olympia at my very first pro show was kind of amazing. It was a cool venue. I loved the whole environment, all the pros guest posed. And I know they're kind of iffy with that now because of COVID and stuff, but I loved it. And hence me, I don't know if we're going to get to this and I'm probably jumping the gun, but hence me going back there, I am really excited because this will be my second time doing the Pittsburgh Pro. And I've had 2.5 years off. So it's almost like my pro debut again. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, because I live in Pittsburgh. So I was as soon as I saw that you were coming back, I was and you're doing the Pittsburgh, I was perfect. Oh my goodness. Because I definitely want to go and watch the show. So I'm glad that you're making this your first show of the year. And it's been 3-4 years?
Yeah, my last show was in 2018, end of 2018. Okay. So I did the Olympia, and then I did I'm just like trying to blank. Oh, Kentucky Pro.
Yep.
So,
Kentucky Muscle. Yeah.
yeah. So after the Kentucky Muscle, I haven't competed. So that was, October 2018 was my last show. So it's been like a solid 2.5 years. Feels like longer than that.
Oh,
sure.
I bet. Yeah, because I haven't hit the stage since 2019, and that feels like forever ago. And it's just like, oh, yeah, we're going to do this on Saturday. All right.
Yeah. Oh, yay. That's exciting. Where is your show?
I'm going to be doing the Clash in Florida, Orlando.
There you
So, yeah, I'll be doing the figure division. So we'll see how that goes.
Awesome. So fun. I know. First show back. It's so exciting.
It is. Yeah, it was good to have like a nice long off season. So would you agree? Like, did you have a nice long productive off season to do anything?
Yeah, I mean, my goal, in my off season was, I actually wanted to try and focus on having a baby, and that didn't end up happening. And so when like kind of my goals shifted, I'm always in the gym. I'm in the gym right now, but I train my clients, and so I'm always gonna work out, and I'm always gonna have physique goals. So I like want to build my legs. I feel like by the time I'm 50, I just want these like massive quads, and I don't care if it takes me that long. So for my off season, it's really easy for me to stay consistent in the gym, dieting, and obviously the more muscle you put on, the easier it is to like eat higher calories or stay just a little bit leaner in your off season. So I feel like this last 2.5 years has been weird. My body's been, I guess it's not weird. My body's been really responsive, just to maintaining a lean physique and kind of holding, some of my muscle. And then kind of jumping into show prep. I've been really surprised with how smooth show prep has kind of gone. So I guess I did have a great off season because everything's kind of everything was relaxed and I was chill and I wasn't like stressed, but I was still working out. So it worked out.
Definitely. And you probably just love the sport so much too. And do you feel like it helped at all that you didn't really since you said your goals had shifted, it was almost like the pressure wasn't really there. You were just kind of like going through the motions and just kind of like preparing for a show eventually, but just not sure. And it just made things a little bit like less stressful.
Yeah, definitely less stressful. I think the more goal was the lifestyle, because I know obviously when you get pregnant, you tend to put on body fat. So for me, I wanted to be the healthiest pregnant person I could be. So it was easy for me. And I don't know if this happens for a lot of people, but for me early in my career, I would compete and then I would kind of fluctuate. And I don't think I've ever gone way too far off, but I've had some fluffy off seasons, if you want to call. But I was always like, well, I have another show, so I know I'll work it back off. I think with not having another show in mind, I'm like, I don't want to fluctuate so hard because then I don't know what's going to motivate me to get back in shape. So for me, it's just easier to kind of keep that lifestyle mentality to stay in shape. Plus, it's just easier on your body. Like, I mean, after being in this industry for like the last 14 years, it definitely has become a lifestyle for me. So it's really kind of easy to like, okay, I'm going to weight train. If you go longer than, 3 to 4 days without hitting like the gym, you're like, something's wrong, like something feels off. And that's just like weight training. I'm not talking about cardio. Cardio is all over the place. Some people love it. Some people hate it. I'm just like, sometimes I do it. Sometimes, for show prep, I definitely do it. But in the off season, I try to find other things that excite my like interests, so I don't get like so monotonous with like machine cardio.
Oh yeah. You don't want to get burnt out because you will feel it in prep. And then, yeah, I'm sure it's just, you just know ahead of time that it's all about that mindset, and off season's a good place to be doing that too.
Right. And just keeping that and like just finding things that excite you to maintain a leaner physique. Also flexibility. One thing that I found in my off season the last couple of years was hot yoga. And I did a little bit of yoga before, but that's kind of what I gravitated towards. And I think it's kept my muscle, well, just the recovery is so much better because it keeps your muscles nice and loose and warm. And like, I don't know. I fell in love with yoga in my last 2.5 years of being off competitions.
I'm sure it's like helped it mentally maybe too, where the yoga is kind of helping, preserve or prevent any injuries. Do you feel like you're kind of so used to it that if you don't do it, then you just feel like something's off?
Yeah, you just kind of get tight, and like the hotter the better for me. Like,
right?
I don't know if have you done hot yoga? It's kind of amazing.
I've heard it is rough. Like I've done normal yoga and sweat, and like I can only imagine hot yoga.
I feel like I'm like this weird addict to it because there's this place, I don't know, they might be all over, but it's a franchise called Hot Works. And I'm giving them a plug, I guess. But they're 130-degree infrared saunas, and you get in there. I mean, you don't have to have it at 100. You can control 130. You can control. But I like crank that up, and then I do a yoga flow, and you're like sweating in like maybe 2 minutes. But your muscles are so warm, and you become so much more flexible, which I feel like in the bodybuilding world, like we will get so bound up if we don't work on our flexibility because we're always just like lifting. And guys too, like guys should go to hot yoga too.
Yeah, for sure. Like when I hear about the yoga and stretching, I think of like Antoine, that's like all about that, the big bodybuilder. He's always doing some ninja moves and stuff and stretching before posing, and like did that all up to the Olympia. And I'm like, yeah, it had to have made a difference of some sort. Had to have.
For sure. If just injury prevention by itself, I think that's a positive thing. And posing, it makes posing a little bit easier because you're staying kind of flexible.
Right. And I know for us figure girls, when we're doing the quarter turn, I know like I constantly have to help girls. I'm sure you might too, where sometimes you're trying to get them to get more flexible with their obliques almost to kind of keep the
rotate more.
Rotate. Yeah. So would you say that yoga or something could really help with someone that feels tight in that area?
Oh, definitely. I think because we all usually have one side that we can rotate better than the other. So yeah, I mean, I think stretching those muscles out, hot yoga for me is awesome, but also, which we all know is like the recovery, which like getting our muscle tissue stretches, deep tissue massage, chiropractic, and that kind of stuff. I think the recovery for most people, because we're in the gym training and we're doing cardio and we're prepping our food and we're posing, it's like that one more thing of like either foam rolling or stretching that tends to be put on the back burner, but it actually could make the most improvements to your posing or to your strength training, because you're actually keeping everything in alignment, you're keeping everything like symmetrical and loose, so you can actually build without injury, which is, I feel like has been a benefit for me, because in like the last 14 years I have had like minimal to no injuries. I've had like a strain maybe, but nothing that's taken me completely out of the game as far as like muscles go. We'll go with that.
I agree. Yeah, I've been lucky in that department too. Like I always feel really bad for people that, maybe like tear a hamstring or something. Like I couldn't even imagine, because that would be like my lagging body part. I'd be like, no.
Right? You're like, yeah. And then how long does that put you out for too? So and painful. I've had a client she just wanted to go do sprints. She's an older client. She's not competing, but she did tear her hamstring, and to watch her go through that whole recovery, I was just like, girl, what are you trying to sprint for? I think she was trying to race her husband. And I'm like, don't race your husband when you're thinking of you wanting to do a show, but some must have else have been going on, because that would be so painful. I mean, and it happens to the best of us, I guess.
For sure. And then that's where it's hard to tell people to kind of scale back, because we always have goals and we want to go. And it's like, those are the people I'm like, I know it's going to be hard, but if you can recover faster, you'll be in the gym sooner.
Yes, exactly.
So since we're talking about, or I brought up a lagging body part and everything, do you remember like what your feedback was at your very last show?
I feel like, okay, so I really got more feedback from the Olympia, if anything. And for one thing, my glutes have kind of came up and they're pretty dominant. So they kind of dominated my back a little bit, which was a surprising feedback for me, just because my back is actually pretty wide. But that was one thing. Like I feel like conditioning could have been a little bit tighter or drier. I'm going off of what I think based on my last and then like just pulling in my waistline a little bit more. So like just making some adjustments to that, which I mean, we're always trying to get a smaller waist. Like that's just the name of the game, I think, and especially in the figure world and the competition and it depends on who shows up and who you're going against, because you could have a tiny waist, but if the girl next to you has got like 5 inches smaller waist than you're going to look like you're really big. So, but I mean, again, like being able to do vacuums or holding poses and just like manipulating stuff like that, I can always make those little improvements that we need. So that's kind of what I've been focused on.
Yeah, keeping the waist small and then just growing everything else is
Yeah,
kind of
building. Yeah.
hmm. Now, was there anything like you did not have to touch, or like maybe anything that you maybe had to pull back on? Like, do you feel like anything is like too dominant on you?
Um, as of late, I mean, it's kind of hard to say. I wouldn't say, I feel like I'm kind of pretty symmetrical. As of late, I feel like I've had to bring my shoulders back up.
Hmm.
And then as far as pull back, I don't know. I mean, like I said, my glutes are kind of dominant. I've developed enough muscle back there, which is awesome for life. Honestly, I don't want to get rid of my glute. Like, who wants to have a smaller butt? Like, you don't like that. If the muscle's there, and even when I'm lean, there's like a good amount of muscle. So, I toyed around with thinking I could go into wellness, but definitely not with some of the girls that are at the top in the wellness division. I'm like, I might think I have big glutes, but then standing next to them probably wouldn't like equate to what my mind is visualizing. But yeah, so, and it's hard because I don't really have a glute day anyway. I just train my quads and I train my hamstrings, and that's going to target it. So
For sure. You're right. Yeah. Are you like, is there any like leg exercise that you would say is maybe your favorite, or maybe the most effective? Because like, I know like some people are super into or squats, or then other people are just like, not about squats, but then they do more machine work.
Um, yeah, I mean, I don't do a lot of squats just because my leg length is so long. So my physique and my mechanics aren't necessarily built for it. So if I'm going to do a squat, it's generally going to be like a reverse squat or hack squat, like machine based and not just like straight up barbell. But leg press is awesome for me. And then what I really think is really effective is lunges. And most people hate lunges. Like, most of my clients, I'm like, we're doing lunges and no one wants to do lunges. But I think no one wants to do lunges because they're so effective and they burn and every part of your leg is getting worked. So yeah, I incorporate a lot of those. I have a love-hate relationship with them, to be honest. I'm like, when I don't want to do them, that's when I like make myself, because it must mean like they're effective because they're hard.
Yeah, and I would agree. Like, I've done a lot of split squats towards the end of my prep and everything too, just to try to get some of the detail in my upper quad. But yeah, I feel like what makes it hard too is like we talked about with the quarter turns, is like you're always going to have a good and a bad side, and sometimes that bad leg just like, oh,
Yeah.
like I don't want to do it.
Right. Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, and that's kind of the fun part of the game, is like just constantly having like a specific goal to work towards. Because if you can't step back and like analyze your physique and like want to improve some, then, and you just think you're done, then you're going to start going backwards. So I think that's why it's kept me in the industry for so long, and I've appreciated my longevity through the competitions, because I always get off stage, and even when they're like disheartening placements or whatever, I can still look at my pictures and go, well, yeah, because I could improve this and I want this to look better, and I'm here, and I'm never done. Like, you're never done. Like, some people are like, how are you not done yet? I'm like, it's a forever marathon, because you have to, like, that's the fun part.
Exactly. And it's really cool for you and your history, because you've done so many shows that, I mean, that is so cool that you've been able to travel and go places. I didn't even ask, like, where are you at located wise?
Oh, I'm in Salt Lake City, Utah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
I'm born and raised, and I'm always here. So I know it's kind of fun.
I've never been to Utah, but I'm sure it's nice out there, just like peaceful is how I imagine it.
Yeah. It's pretty. And we've barely just kind of incorporated pro shows here last couple of years. There's actually a pro figure show here for the first time ever on April 17th. And I mean, they've always done the pro bikini division, but they're adding pro figure this year. So that'll be kind of fun to give, like, especially the locals that maybe not travel for the industry, see like the pro division, because they've had men's physique, classic physique, and then pro bikini. But here in Utah, being a part of an industry since 2007, it's kind of fun to see people and go, because they know most people that are in it know me, or that I've competed in a lot of different states, and they're like, are you going to do one here? I'm like, I can't, there's no pro shows here. But I'm still not going to do the one here, so it's kind of funny.
You're like, well, if it happens again later, maybe we'll see.
Maybe we'll see. We'll give it. I'm gonna like just go observe. I might be actually. I judge some of the shows here, so that might be one of the ones I'm judging. So
that's awesome. I want to judge someday too. I think that is so cool. Like, how many shows? Do you know how many shows you've judged?
Oh, just a few. Like I just kind of gotten into it the last little bit because I mean, especially with not competing, I train some athletes for it. So I don't try to judge when I have my clients competing in it. For one, it's like, there's too much work, but for two, just to kind of take that whole negative look out of it. So with this show, I've been talking to some of the judges, and being in the industry the way I've always matched up with the way the judging kind of fell. So it's been really kind of fun, and it is a lot of work, and it's given me a whole new appreciation towards what it takes to judge a show. I mean, like, you can't look away, and some people like coming in between first and second is so hard, or even maybe you know who first is, but or second and third. And so it's like, and it's so quick. So I have a whole new appreciation. And I can't even imagine on like the pro levels where everybody, I mean, do you like peaches or do you like oranges or do you like, you know what I mean? They're all, it's just like, depends on like kind of what you like. And you almost have to look for a weakness to really judge, because everybody looks amazing.
Right. And I'm sure that you know how it is with posing too. That's why you got to work on it, because they will hold you.
Yes. You will go round and round and round. And if you can't hold it, I mean, that I know personally from like my personal experience on stage, but yeah, like watching it, I understand why they make you go through it so much, because they're like, we're still trying to decide. You're just going to have to keep going.
Yeah. Which sometimes can be a good thing, because like if you've practiced enough and it is going to be a close tie and you're just going around and you're holding the endurance, the judges can tell. Like,
yeah. And sometimes you get fuller, because the more you judge, the better your physique starts looking, or the more you pose, the better your physique starts looking. So it can be a strength. And I think that's something that I'm sure you emphasize, but I emphasize to my clients too, is like how important posing is. It's not something you want to just start to do like 3 weeks out and just wing it. You got to get everything. I mean, it's so much conditioning, just like your time in the gym. So it's kind of crazy.
Right. It is. And it's definitely something I've noticed is definitely overlooked. And I feel bad because like, I'm sure you and we genuinely love to pose. Like, I love it. I think it's so much fun, but some people, it's just like, oh, I don't know. Like it's not fun to them, like training or something, you know?
Right.
So.
It's not comfortable necessarily. It is exhausting. Your muscles hurt. You're trying to twist against yourself sometimes when something's tight. And then, I mean, and even like I tell them, like sometimes the longer you go, the more you start having to correct things, you kind of need to take a break and like maybe pose by yourself for, 15 to 30 minutes, but then get a coach, like have someone look at you, because you don't want to be practicing something wrong to where you now have to break a bad habit. And like, don't just look on, I mean, I could like, don't just look at videos, because it's so funny when people come and like they pose with me and they're like, well, I've been watching this video, and I'm like, that's not helping you, because you can't like look at your back and do a video anyway. But yeah, I do enjoy posing. How many shows have you done? Can I ask you that?
Oh yeah, so this is going to be my 6th show.
See, so you have some stage experience, and so like probably where you looked like posing at your first show versus now is like so different. So it's fun to like evolve with it, and then it just becomes so natural. And that's I think when you start loving it is when it becomes so natural and you move natural. And like I say, you have to make it so it looks like what you're doing you could just stand and do every day. You don't want to look strained and stressed and traps elevate, like all that kind of stuff that kind of happens.
Yeah, for sure. And I know a little tip that I give people too, because I'm not a coach or a personal trainer. Like sometimes I help with posing, but like I end up having to be like, oh, when you do a lat pull down, think of that when you're doing your lat spread, and it's like, I have to put the posing to the workout. I'm sure you've done that too.
Yeah. There's definitely key pointers that you have to verbally give them cues so they know like what they're trying to get into, especially because you don't have a mirror on stage anyway. Like you have to know how to get into it just with verbal cues. Mm-hmm. Sorry, that's getting loud. Can you hear me still okay?
Yeah, I can hear you good. Yeah.
Okay, good.
So I think it's, how many Arnolds have you done? Because you've done the Olympia and the Arnold in the same year. And I see that you've done the Arnold a few times.
Yeah, so I've done, I want to say I did 7 Arnolds in a row. So 2012, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, maybe 8.
Yeah. Wow. Oh my
Yeah,
God.
it was awesome. I'm pretty sure I didn't miss one in there. I don't think I ever took the Arnold off. And I was like really looking forward to it because I was thinking I would do it this year. But of course it got bumped back and we had to restructure and rethink about what the new goal was. And honestly, with it getting pushed back, I thought I wasn't going to compete until maybe September. So like this Pittsburgh Pro kind of got sprung on me. Not that I wasn't like already trying to work towards something, because you can't really get ready for the Arnold once you find out if you're invited. You have to be getting ready before that because they don't let you know until you're maybe 10 to 11 weeks out, and then you find out. But no, I love the Arnold. I love the stage there. The expo's amazing. The athletes are from around the world, and it just feels really like prestigious to be invited when they only really invite a certain amount. I've usually do really well there. I've gotten 2 second places. The last Arnold I did, I got 3rd place back in 2018. I've gotten like a 5th place and a 6th place maybe twice. So I think I've always placed in the top 6, which I've been super grateful for. I think maybe that's why they kept inviting me back.
I was going to say, because I know that you have to be invited and everything. Is there like, how does that process work? Don't you have to like write an essay or something, or how do you request?
Yeah. So, and they've kind of streamlined it a little bit easier now. Like it's different than when I first started doing the Arnold, which it was now it's online. So you send a letter of consideration to Jim Lorimer, and then you submit some photos. They usually like you to include your contest history. And yeah, it's kind of like an essay. It's more of like, hey, this is me, and this is why I want to be invited to the Arnold, and this is what I've done so far, and this is why I love this sport. It's kind of fun. And like, you say what country you're from, and I know they try to get people from all over because it's such a grand event. So yeah, it was cool. I remember my first Arnold, and I remember watching my first Arnold before I turned pro, and I was like, that stage is beautiful. I want to be on it. And like the whole industry, they're all about the athletes. You have like gift baskets in your room when you arrive. So it's like those kind of things that just make you feel so important as an athlete, I think is what made me fall in love with doing that show. And the people are so nice, and they're organized, and it's cool. Like
it just made me think too. I'm a little envious. I'm thinking about your closet. You probably have like all the Arnold jackets and Olympia tracksuits that everybody raves about. Like I can't. What an awesome closet that would look like.
Yeah, it's fun. I think you take it for granted a little bit sometimes when you realize like, oh, I've done so much. And like, I feel like I've evolved with this industry too. It's funny to look at my look back in 2011 versus what the look looks like now, which is a really cool evolution of the sport. And it's naturally going to happen just because as you improve your physique, everything kind of improves and new athletes come about. I think with even the social media jump, it's drawn a lot more attention to where people maybe had good physiques that had no idea about it. And then they start seeing stuff on Instagram like, what's this? Oh, I naturally was born with. Well, I'm not saying taking away from any hard work that people put in, but like these natural athletes that have these insane structures have found an industry, probably with social media being so prevalent, that I'm constantly having to try and keep up. And I'm like, I'm getting to be like one of the oldies. Like, I don't know if any of the girls I first competed with are still stepping on stage. I'm all, oh, this is awesome.
You're like coming in, I'm like, oh, I've been here. Don't worry, ladies.
Yeah,
like, I'm not a newbie.
I love when people ask me, so do you compete? And I'm like, clearly you're a new person in this industry. I'm not going to be offended by it. I don't get offended that way. I just kind of giggle and be like, okay, you need to do your research about this sport.
I was going to say, because I don't know when I started following you, but I know it's been quite some time, because I do remember like I probably watched you in probably 2018 and then saw your interviews and stuff for when you had won and everything back then, because yeah, it's just fantastic shape, obviously. Like,
Thank
I love
you.
it.
And it's fun. I mean, and like I said, like I go against different women and I'm like seriously impressed with um the work ethic. Some of these girls that, I mean, they're probably not newer pros. Like some of the girls that are doing really well now, maybe they came onto the scene back in 2014 with me. And so I'm like just watching them and I'm going like, oh crap, like this is what I have to go against now. But I have been grateful for like the way my body has kind of kept up in a way, like to like just even be able to stand on stage with those girls. Like I know some people are like, do you look at it as a failure going from like 4th place at the Olympia to 6th place? And I'm at the Olympia and I'm in the top 6. Like there's no failure in that. You know what I mean? Because I'm going against girls that everybody looks good. Everybody's worked hard to be there. And I think you have that camaraderie with the other women year around. And so yeah, it's interesting. I mean, you have to kind of look at it that way. The girls that are next to me aren't deciding where I'm placing. The judges are, and they have to just go with who shows up. And you know, sometimes I'm not the best one up there, and I will even admit it first thing. So it's really kind of fun. But I think I just think the evolution of it, and then the physiques that were back then, and now the physiques that are now, it's motivating, even as an older girl in the industry.
Right. And wellness is coming in too. So, I mean, I know that that's going to affect the amateur level, but will that affect, you know, the pro level too, where you see girls start to shuffle around or judging kind of shift a little bit?
Yeah, that'll be definitely interesting to see. I mean, I freaking love that division. I think it's really cool. I know it was like in other countries before, and I was always like, what is that? But I'm really glad they brought it to the US. I mean, I remember when bikini came about, and I just think it's really, as an industry where there's so many different physiques and people don't have to work against their genetics, they get to work with them. It's really cool to see different divisions that kind of play into those roles.
Yeah, right. Yeah, and I know JM loves the wellness division. Like I saw him a couple of weeks ago, and he is just like, he loves the wellness girls.
I mean, I don't blame him. I love the wellness girls. Like that's what I'm saying is like, I want Eurishna's like quads and like so bad. Like I wasn't born with legs, and what I have now, I've worked for 14 years to get there. I've always had a dominant upper body. And so to me, when I got feedback that my glutes were dominant, I was like, when? Like I've been working at it for so long. So now that it's become like almost too much, it just means like all my hard work's paying off. But that's the thing, like you can't, like you have certain genetics and you have certain things that you're going to be really good at, but to improve the weaknesses and then get told those are strengths for you, I think is like the best part of competing. And I think that's how you kind of need to go in the stage and come off of it going, okay, that's a win. It might have made me play slower, but it's a win because that's what I've been working on so hard.
Yep, I agree. I definitely know what you mean. Definitely. And
I love that. Yeah, I love the wellness.
I'm in the same boat with the quads. I'm just like, I want more quad. I want more sweep. You know, I want that teardrop. Come on.
Yeah. And like glutes, man. I mean, you lose your glutes a little bit when you diet down. So, but like if you're constantly building them, I've watched my transition and I'm like, oh good, they're staying, and like they've taken shape. And then for like life, I think, you know, your jeans fit better. And like I said, I don't really want my jeans to fit my legs anyway. I just want like giant legs.
Yeah.
Maybe one day. This is wishful thinking.
We're okay with that struggle.
Yeah, exactly.
So, one of my favorite questions to ask is like, do you have a favorite suit or any of your suits that, you know, really stood out and did well for you?
So I think one of my favorite suits was the one I just wore for the Olympia in 2018. It was like an ombre, almost reminded me of Wonder Woman, the color scheme of it. And I only really wore it that Olympia. I'm wearing something different for the for the Pittsburgh Pro, but I haven't gotten it yet, so I can't say it's my favorite yet. But it, you know, it might be.
Yeah.
But as far as like, yeah, it didn't necessarily place me better than other shows, but it was still like I opened it up and I was like just in awe. And it was a Tammy Marie suit, and she's not really doing it anymore, which is so sad. But I know COVID kind of played a huge role in that.
Yeah, right. I did see that people were trying to get some sales and stuff in for her at the end of COVID, or I shouldn't say the end of COVID, but the end of the year. She was trying to do some big sales, but she has always done really pretty suits.
Yeah, she's been at the top of the game for a long time. I mean, I've had CJ suits that have been awesome for me, and her fit and her cut's awesome. I've mostly gone back and forth between those. I've had a Renee Paz suit early in my career. I think she's still around, but like now I'm working with Anna from Quarter Turn to the Right, and she's been so amazing to work with. You know, she sent it out to me. I tried it on. The cut is a little different than I've ever worn, but I really like the way it emphasizes my physique. So I'm like so excited, like to kind of put it on. I think it's actually going to show some, just like give my physique a better look. So, and that's, I think, an important thing too, and especially anyone that's getting into the industry, is how important the suit cut is, because it can make or break you on stage. Like too much fabric across your glutes just throws your entire physique off. But when you're new in the industry and you're like, oh, I have to wear this tiny little thing, like I promise you want to, like I promise less is more in this industry. And it sounds weird, but like you got to show off your hard work. So be confident and be dedicated enough to be able to put that suit on and just like own that stage.
Oh, exactly. And I feel like with the figure suits, I'm like, don't be scared. I'll hoist those up, right? Get those up high.
Show that V taper, man. Because that's really, I mean, that really makes the biggest difference, is like where your straps kind of sit. It's kind of crazy. And like, and honestly, like glute coverage too is like a huge thing.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, I definitely agree. So yeah, I see you got a lot of blues and purple. So I was like skimming through your suits real quick just to see if there was any color that really stood out. And it's been a mix. You've tried them all. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Let me tell my coach.
Oh, you're fine. I know. So we're getting to the mark anyways, but so you're a coach right now. Are you taking any clients or anything?
Yeah, so that's what I do mostly here in Utah, is I train women, and some of them gravitate or towards the stage, and other of people are just like lifestyle coaches, or I'm their lifestyle coach. So I just try and help them get body composition change. Yeah, I'm in the gym. I am a part-time cosmetologist, so I still kind of hold on to that because I've been doing it for 16 years, and I have a clientele that I kind of hold on to. It's funny to juggle, but I do train like 4 days a week, mostly one-on-one with most of my women clients. And I really love it. It's really empowering to be around the women that just come in here with certain goals, and then to watch them achieve like certain fitness goals that they never expected they could, and they achieve a body that they never expected to have, to me is so rewarding. And that's really why I'm grateful for this industry, because it's brought that about. But I do take on clients still. So yeah, if anyone wants to reach out, you can reach me and we can go through goals. I do online too, but yeah, a little bit of online, mostly one-on-one though. I love it.
Okay, yeah, it's probably more in person. And doing hair too, I'm like, you make the body look good and the hair look good.
I know, full package. I like it too. It's weird how it worked out.
Oh, I also wanted to say your dog is really, do you have 2 dogs, or how many dogs do you have?
Like
They're so
4
cute.
dogs.
Oh my God. I know, I saw the furry one. He's so cute.
Oh, Coco. Okay, so 2 of them live in Las Vegas right now, but I still claim them.
Yeah, right.
And then my little furry Coco, yeah, she just got her haircut yesterday. She's such a little fluffy Pomeranian. And then I have a little 4-pound Chihuahua, and he's so cute too. What would we do without dogs? I swear.
No, right? And then like with, lockdown or anything like that, I mean, it's like nice to have something around too. And then I don't know if you take your dog to the salon or not, but I know people that bring their dogs to the salon.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, well, I have. Yeah. And sometimes like I get in trouble, but
but you're like, it's so cute. I know.
Like all my clients love him. I had a little Chihuahua that I had for like 10.5 years, and he went with me everywhere. And he was such a people like Chihuahua, and he would sit on all their laps, and everybody would ask me about him. I lost him last year, but Yeah, I mean, I feel like my clients ask me about my dogs all the time. So I try and take them in, and I'm in a private room, like studio. So I can go in and shut my door. If they're quiet, nobody knows. So as long as I keep them hush hush, they can go with me to work. So fun.
How many weeks out are we from the Pittsburgh now?
It was 5 on Friday. So we're like, what, 4.5?
Yeah,
3?
we're getting close. We're getting close. That's so cool though. And I think, if I'm correct, I think the figure ladies are Friday night.
Yeah, Friday at 7. Yeah, I talked to Damien about it last week, and it's going to be the same as I think it kind of was. So they're going to do prejudge at 7 p.m. and then they're going to probably bring out another division and then do finals right after. So it's going to run pretty quick, but you know, it'll be fun. I mean, I'm just glad shows are happening and that we're kind of getting back into some normalcy as far as that goes. And I'm just grateful that we're in an industry that is still functioning. So because, you know, we want to get out there and we want to get out and just showcase what we work towards.
Right. And we did not have a Pittsburgh Pro last year. So I'm really happy that we're getting it this year. So glad you're jumping on it and glad you're making it out here. So safe travels when that happens. And hopefully I see you there because I'll be around.
Yeah, definitely. Come say hi. I would love it.
And for anybody that wants to follow you, Heather, so your Instagram is IFBB Heather Dees.
Yeah, and you know, an easy thing is my website is heatherdees.com, and at the top it has all my links to Instagram, Facebook, Snapchat, whatever else there is. So you can just click on it. It will take you straight. So the easiest place probably to go to is heatherdees.com, and you can find me all right there.
Perfect. All right. Well, thank you so much for making the time. I know, you know, we're both in deep in prep here, so I appreciate it. I love this talk and obviously a big fan. So thank you so much.
It was my pleasure. I hope we can do it again. It was awesome.
For sure. Well, good luck and I'll talk to you later.
Thank you. See ya.
Bye.